ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. We are most grateful to Almighty Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the most gracious, most merciful, the giver of all, the giver of life, the bringer of death, the doer of all he intends. There's none that is worthy of worship but only him. Is one, is alone, he is only. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon the best of mankind, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and his household, and all believing men and women from now till the day of judgment. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who describes himself as alladhi lam yattakhidh walada, the one that is boastful that he never begets a son, he has no child. Kings of the world will wish they have children to inherit them and to come after them. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is never to be inherited. And he is boastful that he has nobody that can succeed him, because he is the first and the last. He is the one before the before. He is the one who nobody can create like him. Nobody can create for him. Nobody can do what he does. How many people here have killed a mosquito before? Raise your hand. Yes, you have killed a mosquito before. Did you see "Made in China" written on the mosquito? Why you didn't see? The reason why you didn't see "Made in China" written on mosquito is because it is not made by anyone. It's Allah that has made it. The whole world can gather to produce something that looks like mosquito, but tell them to make such a mosquito to lay an egg, and let the same egg continue and progressively result into an adult mosquito. Nobody can do it except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How many of you have cockroaches in your cupboards? If you have killed a cockroach before, did you see "Made in Germany" written on the cockroach? You will not see that, even though it is rugged. You won't see that because it was not made in Germany. It's Allah that made it as it is. And the whole world can gather, they cannot produce the like of the cockroach. This is the greatness of the creation of Almighty Allah. He is the creator. سَبِّحِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ الْأَعْلَى الَّذِي خَلَقَ فَسَوَّى وَالَّذِي قَدَّرَ فَهَدَى وَالَّذِي أَخْرَجَ الْمَرْعَى. All this describe and glorify Almighty Allah, the one that creates everything. I want to share with us briefly within this little time something that I really want us to hold us up in our hands and never to forget. I want to tell us that it is time for everybody to wake up. Wake up to what? It is not as surprising for somebody to sleep at night and fall asleep. But it is much more surprising when somebody wakes up in the morning. Meaning, like we said earlier on, who wakes up all the cells in your system? Who guarantees that you wake up actually? When you were asleep, when you didn't know anything, how did you manage to wake up? If not that it is Allah that woke you up by himself. Now, waking up can come in so many ways. Waking up from sleep, that we sleep at night, is one. And waking up in life to realize some of the things and aspects of your life is another thing. So I want all of us to follow me as I describe and make attempt to explain some of the things that entails waking up in life and realizing the purpose for which you are existing. Because long story short, a time comes up in our lives, in your life, a time, an hour, a moment, whatever, will come up in your life when you finally get it, really. when you finally realize what you are here for and what you have been doing. When in the midst of all your fears and all of your insanities, you stop dead in your tracks, and somewhere the voice inside your head continues to tell you enough, enough. There are times in your life when you have to press the pause button and halt for a while, stop for a while, and think about your life. What is referred to as nafsul lawwama, the soul that criticizes, will begin to grip your conscience with a fist and will say, enough. Enough fighting, enough crying, enough struggling to hold on, enough wandering up and down, not knowing exactly what you have to do with your life. And like a child that's quieting down after a lot of tantrums and sobs, you begin to stop crying, you begin to think about your life, and you begin to wake up and realize that you cannot continue to cry forever. Sometimes you have to just stop crying and begin to think about your life. Generally, when it comes to marriage, some people expect a sign to be shown to them. Some people expect a nudge. Some people expect a jolt, or just something to happen so that they can realize that the person they are supposed to marry is standing next to them or sitting next to them within the same hall. When it came to Adam and Eve, it would have been easier for Adam to recognize his wife because there were not many women then. It was only Hawa that was there. And then Hawa too would not mistake her husband for the nearby tree because she knows that this is the only human being that is resembling her and that is looking at her and smiling from ear to ear. It was very easy for her to recognize her husband. But things, like you know, things are much more complex now. Things are much more complicated. You can't just wake up to find the super spouse of your dream smiling at you, custom made, designer fitted, fully accessorized, with kits and tools, handy as a bomb, ready to explode with desires. And when an angel will say, all yours, and you say, I know. Things are not as easy as that anymore. Realities do not always follow the pattern of your imaginations. You should not be like many people who realize very late that nothing stopped them from moving on in life, and that nothing stopped them from marrying the person they admire or attaining the good things they desire, except the lack of initiative, except their short-sightedness, except the fear that they have, the fear of the unknown, the fear of fear itself. They realize that what they thought was a stumbling block was actually made of salt, that they have been struggling to enter a room of blessings, but they did not enter that room because they have been knocking at the door from the inside. They were already inside the blessings. They are the blessings themselves. Everything they ever needed, Allah has already provided for them. Now you also wake up to realize that loneliness and being alone are not the same thing. You now realize that you have some strong connections to other people. Your moments alone will not feel lonely. We are all each single unique individuals, but you realize that we now need connection. We need communication. We need commitment to buff off our feelings of loneliness. It is possible for Allah to create everything, but Allah only created the palm tree. To make palm oil is up to you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put a lot of people on this earth. To choose a companion amongst them is up to you. Allah has given you eyes to see. What you look at is entirely your business. Allah has given you the capacity to laugh. Only you will decide what is funny. You don't just sit by, hoping, waiting for something to happen when you are doing nothing about your life. You have to do something if you want something to happen. Everything comes with effort. Everything comes with sacrifice. When Maryam, the mother of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, when she was pregnant, and Almighty Allah asked her if she was hungry, she needed to eat something and there was nobody around. Allah told her to shake the date fruit, to shake the tree so that fruit will fall down for her. The thing is, Allah still wanted her to make an effort to shake the tree. Allah would have commanded the tree to just be dropping the fruit for her. In other words, no matter how close to Allah you are, there's a law of action, there's a law of effort. You have to do something. You cannot always achieve something just by wishing and willing for that thing. To achieve anything meaningful, you also need a sense of direction. You need self-discipline. You need perseverance. Can the snake move forward without striking out its neck? No. A tortoise will never make any progress if the heads are still inside the shell. وَأَنْ لَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. You wake up to also realize, and you learn that everyone shall bear their own burden, and everybody will be rewarded in accordance to their deeds. You learn that the people you choose to associate with cannot make you a better person if you are not willing to make a change in your life. Nobody can have faith on your behalf. Nobody can observe salat on your behalf. Nobody can eat food on your behalf. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar Kabira. Somebody can chew meat on your behalf, but they cannot swallow it on your behalf. Nobody can drink water on your behalf. You have to drink it by yourself, and you have to make that effort by yourself. If you are not ready to take care of yourself, nobody is going to take care of you. That's what you must realize in this world. If a person whose mind is garbage, and the person is sitting by the water, after a while, you will see that even that water will be defiled. Beware and be cautious of the people you surround yourself with, because one good egg plus one bad egg equals to two bad eggs. You are as righteous and you are as good as the average of 5 people that surround you. If you surround yourself with good people, you will likely be a better person. And if you surround yourself with people who are not good, you are most likely going to be like them. You also realize that you can keep asking questions, you can keep whining, you can keep complaining, and you can keep looking for somebody to blame for your problems. You can be like, who is responsible for your situation? Who has tampered with your destiny? Who should you hold as responsible for your problems? Who should you hold as the scapegoat for your life? You can ask, whose fault is it that you find yourself in the ditch? Who is to take this blame? Or whom should you throw your tantrum? Whose cat should you kick? The worst person you can blame is Shaitan, and even Shaitan will deny you. So wake up. Stop looking for those to blame for your life. Yes, you should wake up to stop bitching and blaming. Stop blaming other people for the things they did to you or for the things they did not do for you. And you learn that life is not all about you. The sun doesn't revolve around you. Life is not all about you. Learn that life is itself, and you also have to take care of yourself. Stop looking for people to blame for your needs, for your desires, for your preferences, for your greed, for your appetite, for your selfishness. Not many people will agree to massage your ego even if you are going to pay for them. If you are going to pay them to do so, they'll still refuse to make you happy. So, people you trusted may not always be there for you. This is something you must realize. And when they are not there for you when you need them the most, it doesn't mean that they mean evil. It is just that they have other things to do and they have their own personal problems to attend to. You may not be their priority at the moment. So stop looking for who to blame for abandoning you. That is just life, and there's nothing we can do about it. You need to forgive yourself and forgive other people. You understand that life is full of surprises. Expectations are not always met, and this is something you have to get used to. You may be very brilliant, you may be very smart, but sometimes you make dumb choices sometimes, and you surprise yourself and wonder, why did I do this to myself? It's not just enough for you to organize pity party for yourself, for people to come and say, hey, yeah, on your behalf. The thing is, when they finish doing yeah for you, everybody will go home and face their problem, and they will leave you alone with your trouble. You should come to terms with the fact that you have to be responsible for yourself. You have to be responsible for your life. You have to be responsible for your choice and be responsible for your actions. You have to accept responsibilities for your mistakes in life, for your short-sightedness, for your self-delusion, for your false hopes, for your fake dreams, for your faithlessness, for your carelessness, for your impatience, and sometimes for your stupidity. You must learn to distinguish between feeling guilty and being responsible for whatever mistake you have made in life. There's no human being that will claim that they never made a mistake before. But when you make mistake, you dust yourself up and you get up and you keep moving in life. You also learn as you go along waking up in life. You learn that feeling angry, feeling jealous, feeling envious, and feeling resentful are choices that you make by yourself. And you can unchoose them before they inject their venom into your veins, spreading poison to fertilize the cancer cells that eat up your happiness. To make yourself happy is in your hands. Nobody can ever make you happy, no matter what they do. If you are not ready to be happy, they will not do anything to make you to be happy. You can react to life and feel powerless. It's your choice. Or you can take action and feel powerful. It's your choice. To wallow in regret is not the same as taking action about your life. If you do not deal with changes in your life, life's changes will deal with you. To accept responsibility for whatever you have done wrong is to learn from your mistakes and move on with your life. It is very important to note that a believer, according to the prophet, is not rescued from the same hole twice. And as you wake up in life, you learn and realize that tests and trials are parts of life. You often lack what other people have in abundance, and you feel that life is not treating you well. There are occasions when you think that you are always out of luck, and sometimes, if you get it at all, you have to work extra hard to get what other people get very easily. That is just how life is. And sometimes you find yourself in darkness, a kind of confusion. Darkness that is so thick, it can almost put out fire that is burning. Darkness. The type that Anabi Yusuf was inside when he was thrown into the well. He was betrayed. He was stabbed in the back. He didn't mean it to happen. He didn't expect it to happen. He did not see it coming. But his brothers, his own brothers, did that to him. And he found himself in the well. He was there for days in darkness, sorrow, disappointment. What was he thinking when he was there inside the well? Was he cursing and blaming? No, he was just there with all hope in Almighty Allah. For how many days will he stay there? Allah didn't tell him. Until someday, Allah created a need for some people to come and fetch water from that well, and they were able to bring him out of that darkness. Possibly this story may resemble you too. There was another prophet who was in the darkness for a long time. That was Yunus, who was swallowed by the fish. He was in the dark belly of that whale. For how long? We don't know. For how long will he be there? Allah didn't tell him. I could imagine him almost being digested by the enzymes in the fish. It was painful. It was regretful. But what was he doing there? He was still calling on Allah. And someday, Allah made it to be that the fish still vomited him. And of all the prophets of Almighty Allah, he was the only one that his people believed in him 100%. Possibly, you may be in the dark similar to that. Another darkness is that of Noah alayhi salatu wasalam, who was inside the ark for days, for months, for a long time. No rudder, no engine, no machine, no paddling, nothing to paddle it, nothing to make the boat to move. He was inside the ark. He did not know the direction. He did not know where he was going. He did not know when the rain would stop. He did not know where the ark would land. He was there, coping with the darkness of loneliness, of worries, of disturbance, of having to stay with the animals, having to cope with cat vomit, having to cope with all of the dungs and droppings of wild animals. It must have been very lonely for him, because even his children were not there with him, and his wife was not there with him. You may be in similar darkness. Allah will not tell you when it will end, but you know it's going to end someday. You must realize that after all these darknesses you may be going through now as we speak, there will come a time when this darkness cease, will get to be over. So don't despair. It's your share of trial. It's a share of being part of human beings. You are not alone in your loneliness. Many others have felt and known the griefs and problems and disappointment you thought were customized for you. Problems that you could not solve, mountains that you could not climb, lovers that you could not have, opportunities that missed you by seconds, favors that passed you by. With all these cruel stings of inner hurt, it is easy to forget that many wounded and fallen souls, many people who have died already, they will wish to go through the same pains if they could still be alive like you. Appreciate the gift of life and understand that the trial you are going through is part of living as a human being. Then you wake up again and you realize that in real life you don't always get what you want at the snap of your fingers. We all have to do a lot of waiting around for many reasons. Waiting for your turn to see a doctor sometimes, waiting in a queue at a restaurant or at a filling station, sometimes in traffic, and sometimes waiting for a call to be picked up at the other side, at the other end of the phone. You have to wait sometimes for marriage to happen before it eventually happens. While waiting for help, do not forget to hold on to the rope of hope, because it's with that rope of hope that you are going to be pulled out of your hole eventually. You must take Allah's injunctions seriously and realize the importance of respecting the boundaries set by Almighty Allah. Learn to say no. And this word no is probably the shortest and the most difficult word in the world. No. Learn to say no to the things that are wrong. Learn to say no that people will drag you down. Learn to say no to things that do not favor you. Learn to say no to things that keep you far away from Almighty Allah. We cannot run away from Allah except that we run towards Allah Himself. You should realize and wake up that there will come a day when we are all going to be judged by Almighty Allah. You should realize that Shaitan is a real enemy that will do all he can to pull you down and let you be among the Ashabul Sa'ir. May Allah save us from that. And beware, right now, Shaitan can also lie to you that you will never be forgiven. Understand very well that Allah forgives all sins. Then you learn about love. You might have to either stand in love with someone or something, or else you fall ill. You realize that it's not all you love that can be yours, but you might have to love whatever you have. Nothing can be loved too much, but all things can be loved in the wrong way. So you open your ears. Not everyone that claims to love you means it, and not all that did not say that they love you hate you. Did you understand that butterflies ignore us, but mosquitoes don't ignore us? Now you see, it's not all people that seek you that love you. It's not all those that ignore you that hate you. You learn that you can't force someone to love you just as you cannot force a butterfly to choose a particular flower. Love grows, love changes, and love dies, just like anything that is living. You need to understand that you wake up and you know that nothing is perfect in life. Perfect people are not real, and real people are not perfect. Allahu Akbar. And now, finally, you understand that you should stop telling yourself lies. Begin to realize the truth about yourself. You should understand that Allah has placed you where you should be, and wherever you are, you should learn to grow and should learn to bloom wherever you are. You learn that you have to be laser focused. If not, you will miss your priorities in life. What do you want to achieve? Do you want to please people, or you want to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And you also learn to make efforts. Oh, these efforts. Efforts against yourself. efforts to leave your ego behind, efforts to worship Allah in full concentration and in intensity, effort to live with perfection in an age of deterioration, in an age where the wise person is looked upon as a foolish person. Don't also forget that you enjoy the shade today because some other people planted the trees yesterday. Allahu Akbar Kabira. And understand very well that some people sacrificed on your behalf before the deen gets to where it is now. And finally, with all sense of humility, you should wake up to pray to Almighty Allah for His forgiveness over your sins and to reestablish a relationship with Almighty Allah. Allah who is Al-Ahad, Al-Wahid Al-Qahar. He is with you at your times of distress. Allah is the one that listens to you when you are calling. He is the one that catches you when you are falling. Allah alone will never depart from you because Allah loves and cherishes you despite your imperfections. We are all in this together. When we make efforts to be made worthy to draw near to Allah, all clouds become showers in the skies of our minds, watering parched and dry souls to fertile new beginnings. We turn back to refresh, to reboot, to restart, and to return to Almighty Allah. Like salmon jumping backwards to the sources of their bath, we beseech Allah to show His mercy on our sincere intentions, leading our hearts round the Kaaba, seeking to climb up into the door of the ancient house, Baytul Atiq. Then our hearts beat forward as if to drink the Zamzam from the Quran to quench our spiritual thirst for the soothing words of Almighty Allah. Our fingers pulsating as we seek forgiveness from Almighty Allah, as we say, Astaghfirullah, 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 Astaghfirullah. And our tongues wet as we recite the words of Almighty Allah. And sometimes we go on our knees and we put our foreheads on the ground in sujood. Then our foreheads embrace the ground so that our faces can face the grace of Allah, the all-forgiver of all sins. So our faces can face His grace. We say, Astaghfirullah, 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 Inna Allah Ghafur Rahim. We pray for Allah's forgiveness, for He's one that forgives and He's one that blesses. May He forgive us our sins and increase us in blessings. Now you wake up now and you realize that your iman is expected to grow. And you wake up and you realize that between you and Almighty Allah, whatever thing you have done wrong and wherever you are wrong, make sure you make amend and you seek closeness to Almighty Allah, the only one that's always there for you, even when the whole world deserts you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.